Okay, hi everyone and welcome to the start of a new playthrough here on my channel. This will be my second attempt at a playthrough, but this time around I've decided to go with a game I'm familiar with. In fact, this is one of my favourite games ever, so I would like to introduce you to Grey Matter. This comes from the same creative mind behind the Gabriel Knight franchise, so hopefully some of you are familiar with that series. And much like the Gabriel Knight games, this is a point and click adventure game, so it's nothing too high octane. It's very much plot driven and has a lot of interactivity as far as the player is concerned. So I thought it'd be a nice one to try and take you through. Now I am playing this game from memory, so if you're here expecting a 100% perfect playthrough, I'm afraid you have come to the wrong channel, but I do hope you would like to stick around if you're just here for a chill time. I originally played this game on the Xbox 360, but however I am now playing the Steam version for the sake of making it easier to record, if I'm perfectly honest. Well, enough of my chit chat, let's just jump straight in. So in this opening cutscene we will be introduced to the playable character. You'll see her in just a moment. And as you can see, she's trying to make her way to London, but luck's not really on her side. The weather is terrible, as is always the case in England. And lo and behold, chaos is going to ensue because the fork in the road is pointing her in the wrong direction.
Damn it. It's completely dead.
Yes. How do you do? I'm the assistant for Dr. Styles. I'm the new assistant for Dr. Styles. God.
Okay, so something has spooked the new assistant, which gives Sam here the perfect opportunity to intervene.
Hi, I'm the new assistant for Dr. Styles. I can't believe what I did last night. I need to get out of here before they figure out who I really am.
Okay, so that cutscene introduced us to Sam. The game's going to try and take me through a small tutorial, which I'm actually going to skip, and I will just explain to you as I go along how the game plays out. It's pretty straightforward, to be honest. So here we have Sam, and yes, I will breach the fact that it probably is fairly obvious. Yes, I wouldn't say I've styled myself off of her, but my adoration for this game has definitely influenced how I present myself. So yes, there may be some similarities between my crazy past haircuts and Sam's. Anyway, over here, this weird little rustling motion is indeed Sam's pet rabbit Houdini. We need to get him back in his cage if we want to leave the room. And you may have noticed when I hover over certain objects, the cursor will have either a hand or an eyeball on it. That basically indicates that it, depending on what you're hovering over, may have a different interaction outcome. So this is kind of observe, this is handle. So let's go and pick Houdini up. Get him away from what is probably a fake plant.
Houdini! There you are. Are you scared? Or just up to your usual tricks, you furball, you? I was worried. Stay put for at least 10 minutes, will you, Who?
Okay, so on the PC version, if I just tap the spacebar, the game will indicate what is interactive by having the names and the text hovering over the interactive items. What we need to do is give Houdini some food and water, and then we can be on our merry way. In this backpack where the little magnifying glass is appearing, it means we can search inside, that there's more to it. And in here, the most important things we need to progress are the carrot to feed him.
Houdini goodies left. That rabbit eats better than I do.
And the water bottle to give him water.
Houdini's water bottle. Unfortunately, it's empty. Amazing considering how soaked I got last night.
I must admit, Sam's sense of humour is a little hit and miss. Some of her one-liners are great, and other times it's like, just please don't say any more. Right, everything else in this bag isn't essential. Actually, I tell a lie. This deck of cards is, so we'll take them.
A clean, crisp deck of cards is one of the necessities of life.
So these are items we're going to use later in the game. This magic book here is also an essential item for later in the game. We'll take it now.
My first magic book. The tricks are kind of juvenile, but the basic techniques are timeless. I never go anywhere without it.
So you're probably wondering, why on earth is this girl taking a magic book with her? I will explain in just a moment.
The Daedalus Club London. I will get there, one way or another.
So the reason is for, in fact, this Daedalus Club, or Daedalus as I like to say it, it's kind of a secret society elite club for magicians. Yes, magicians. Sam is currently an aspiring magician. She's kind of a street performer, street magic sort of person. And she's venturing to the Daedalus Club, which is of course located in London. She wants to become one of the greats. And that's basically the motivation for Sam's character. That is her driving force throughout this entire game. We can interact with everything else in the backpack. While it's not essential, it just gives you a bit of backstory as to, and a bit of character building for Sam.
Hey Mom and Dad, looks like the rain didn't hurt you. That's cool.
Okay, so we've got the photo of her parents, but as you can see here, there's also a foster care letter, so it would indicate as much that Sam's folks aren't around anymore.
A letter from the foster care department back in DC. I don't need to take it. I'm almost done reading it. Trey Gothic. I don't need to carry it around though.
There you go. So I'm hoping that's not a real blood stain on the book, and maybe it's just an aesthetic thing. But Sam is into her Gothic literature, which doesn't come as any surprise.
All I have is £5. I should never have bought that piece of crap bike in Liverpool. It wiped me out.
I'll never understand how she bought a motorcycle in London, yet somehow ended up travelling northbound to London from the Essex or Brighton kind of area. I can't work out why she wasn't travelling southbound, but I'm not going to dwell on it.
A girl travelling alone has to have more than a few tricks up her sleeve.
So Sam is just, one of those casual knife carriers. Yeah, if things get hairy, she won't be afraid to use it apparently, which I'm fairly certain doesn't occur throughout the game, but again, my memory isn't the best.
A towel is the most massively useful thing a hitchhiker can have.
Any hitchhikers watching, can you confirm? Right, so that's the backpack done and done with. Now we need to give Houdini the carrot and water, so we actually need to equip items before we can interact. So we open up the menu by just hovering up here. right click on the item you want to equip, it'll hover over here on this little hand icon, and then you just simply left click on the item you want to apply it to.
There you go. The hard stuff. Don't overdo it now. You never could hold your carrots.
Then maybe don't feed it to him if they don't agree with him. Now, the water bottle, we actually have to put water in it first. So you can see there's a water pitcher on the bedside cabinet. So let's go and do that now. Okay, and back in the inventory, I have to re-equip the water bottle to then give it to Houdini.
Yum. Nice, cool water.
Now, there's nothing else in this room that's essential to interact with in order for me to leave. I can just go straight out the door, but for the sake of clarity, I remember there was a trophy, not a trophy, an achievement, an Xbox achievement for interacting with everything in the game. So if you're trying to get achievements, that's one thing to consider, but sometimes it pays to interact with everything just in case it is actually stopping you from progressing. So I'm just going to quickly interact with this window, then I'll interact with the plant, the bed and the cage, and I'll be on my way.
Nothing but trees out this way. I need to figure out where I am. Houdini must have mistaken this plant for a really large salad.
A big salad! Sorry.
That's a great bed. Too bad it was just for one night.
I must admit, that is a huge bed. I genuinely don't think there's any shop I've ever been in that sells beds that big. I would love to know where it came from.
I need to go see if I can figure out where we are. You'll have a bit longer to be warm and snug. Enjoy it while you can.
There we go. So, I may have mentioned earlier that this game can be completed in 5 hours or less. So it can be completed quickly, but if I'm going to interact with everything, it might take a pinch longer. We'll just have to find out.
Get out of here before they figure out I'm an imposter. But first, I need to find a map or bus schedule or something so I can figure out where I'm going.
So again, I'm going to interact with everything in this corridor, but there's nothing earth-shatteringly revolutionary to be found from it all.
Weird painting. A woman and an owl. I like it. Pretty surreal. Looks like it might be another bedroom. Don't think I'll go there.
So David is in fact the owner of the house, and that's his room. We'll learn more about David later.
Looks like a monk, or Quasimodo post-surgery.
Then we have some random gargoyles inside.
Those gargoyles look like they were taken from an old building or something. Some dusty old armor in there.
Okay, I wanted you to interact with that lady.
That's probably another bedroom. I better not open it. The occupant might get annoyed.
Probably not half as annoyed as what they are hearing you clomp about on the wooden flooring in your boots. But let's move on. On to the foyer.
Not a soul. Pretty quiet, too.
So this tutorial is just highlighting something I've already picked up on, so the spacebar highlights everything. I'm just going to interact with the first thing on the way down the stairs, which is this portrait here, rather than walking backwards and forwards.
She's beautiful. Kind of a Grace Kelly type. Wonder who she is.
Well, Sam, I can answer that question for you. This is, in fact, David's wife. So the owner of the household, this is his wife. We'll learn more about her. I must admit, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. We will learn more about her later. Now, in order to progress this part of the chapter, we need to gain entrance to the kitchen, which is currently out of bounds. So we're going to try entering, but the game's not going to let us.
I hear someone in there. I better not.
Okay, what I need to do is I need to interact with pretty much everything in order to trigger the game to allow me to get into that kitchen. So we're just going to check out all the random statues.
Look at that statue of a veiled woman. I have no idea what it's supposed to mean, but it's sinister as hell. I love it.
We have more random statues here.
That's not something you'd want to run into while stumbling upstairs in the dark. All these friendly faces around here are freaking me out. I better find a map, or letter, or something that tells me where I am, and how I get to the nearest town.
Okay, and then we'll quickly check out the phone.
There's no one I can call. I don't know a soul here. And I can't call a repair shop because I don't have any money.
Vicious cycle, eh, Sam? Now, this envelope, I believe we need to examine it again later, but we'll get different dialogue if we examine it now.
It says, for the new assistant. Hopefully by the time they figure out I'm not that person, I'll be long gone.
So we'll move on to the dining room. Again, there's nothing really key or essential that we learn from any of this. It's just Sam being straight up nosy, to be quite frank.
Stuffed owls. Adds a nice fresh from the field vibe to dinner. There are a lot of CDs in here, but no maps or addresses. Odd place for a stereo. Maybe it calms down the patients at mealtime.
I don't know why she thought she was going to find like ordnance survey maps and schedules inside a CD case, because I certainly don't keep those things in my CD case. And yes, I still have CD racks.
Wow, those are up there. I think they're Viking heads.
I cannot confirm or deny, Sam, sorry. Vikings doesn't go with the aesthetic of the room, though. So...
L plus D. Live and die? Laurel and Darty?
I think these two paintings are the only ones that will give us different dialogue.
Couple in a boat. Kind of symbolic of a relationship. Except if it were one of my relationships, we'd be adrift in a storm in the middle of the ocean.
But if I click one of the other four, we'll get another bit of dialogue. But it'll be the same bit of dialogue for all four.
These watercolors are good. But I'd say homegrown. Someone in the family must be an artist. China and silver. Fancy.
So try and get... Sometimes the thing you want to interact with keeps disappearing.
Cool candelabra. All I need is a nightgown and a stormy night, and I could play Jane Eyre.
I must admit, I've read Jane Eyre and I do quite like it. Though it's been a while.
I can see the long drive I came up last night. The road is still there. That's a good thing. That velvet's a bit worn. Bet those chairs have been in this house a long time. God, you could feed the House of Representatives at this table. Some people have this kind of money. Then there are the rest of us.
Right, that is everything in this room. As I mentioned before coming in here, nothing that's of great significance, but hopefully that will allow me to progress a bit further. Now, I think the best bet would be to actually do the front of the house first. So if we exit this, you'll notice there's like a little door icon on my cursor now. So we can kind of click anywhere down at the bottom and we can leave.
I think I noticed a plaque yesterday. I should have a look.
Now, as you can see, we've just got a nice wide shot of the property. I just want to take a moment to really admire how cool and gothic this house is. Most estates like this in the UK, well I say most, there are a lot of estates like this out there. And quite a good chunk of them belong to either National Trust or English Heritage. I don't think there are actually that many that are privately owned. I could be wrong, but man, I wish there was one that looked like this that I could visit.
Cool house. A bit creepy, but I kind of like that.
Now, the entry plaque is right by the door, so I've just got to be careful to not click the door accidentally.
Center for Cognitive Abnormality Research? And this seemed like such a good idea last night.
I mean, that plaque could have read, you know, absolutely big scary house for the criminally insane, and she probably still would have gone in. I don't think her circumstances were really all that allowing. Okay.
I love all this old gothic stuff around here. Neat house. That tower looks strange standing by itself like that. It's almost like a miniature or replica.
So it's just a lot of observational chitter-chatter at the moment.
It looks like it could start raining again at any minute. Just my luck.
Now, at the time of recording this, I kid you not, it's meant to be summer, and this is what the skies have been looking like almost every day this week. It's unfortunately a very accurate depiction of the English weather.
I stuck my bike in there last night. I'll probably ditch it. It'll cost too much to fix it, and it's a piece of junk anyway.
Unfortunately, Sam's walk animation is a little bit slow and quite catwalky, if I'm honest. I'm not sure why. Not sure who she's strutting for. Right, now we can go back in the house and we will examine the parlour room. And there's quite a bit in there, so we'll try and go as fast as we can. Sorry, and I'm using the royal we. So house, room on the right here, the parlour. It's actually more of an office, but you'll see what I mean in just a moment. So as you can see, we've got like a desk. So I would go as far to say this is probably a waiting room, because you've got the office door here. I believe this is more of like a patient interaction area. I could be wrong. I'm going to work my way clockwise around the room, so we'll check out the books first.
Someone must read a lot. Someday, I'll have a library.
Not if you keep wasting your money on broken motorcycles, lady.
You know, this house is downright creepy. And I'm an ex-goth. I know creepy.
I don't entirely believe there's such a thing as ex-goth. I think once you're a goth, you're always a goth. Might not be a goth on the outside, but you're always a goth on the inside. And then we'll try and check out these diplomas. She should walk over there now. So we'll actually know, or come to learn, what is Mr. Dr. Styles actually a doctor of.
David Styles, neurobiology. Hope he finds the assistant he's looking for.
And then there's a photo here as well.
Couple. They look happy. Annoyingly perfect, maybe, but happy.
There we go. So for those who maybe don't know what neurobiology means, he is a doctor of, you know, the brain. hence the name of the game, grey matter. It's a reference to brains. It's all very clever. So we can interact with the office door from this screen, but I believe it's locked.
It's locked. Lovely. Just what I want to see when I'm waiting in a doctor's office.
There we go. So we've got some rather strange looking photos.
Are these some of the doctor's patients? Interesting.
I mean, my takeaway from these photographs here would be that Dr. Styles has maybe travelled the world. You know, some of these people look as though they might come from other countries. So maybe he's done research abroad, or maybe he's just done treatment. Maybe he's been part of like the Peace Corps or something. I don't know. But to me, this is this sign of a well-travelled man.
There's no "you are here" on the globe, unfortunately. Looks like family photos. Nothing of use to me in there. Ooh, I could really use a bit of that. Even 20 pounds. I'm stone broke. But it's the magician's creed. Never take cash or other valuables. I just can't.
So the magicians have a code of conduct or an ethical compass of sorts. So never to take money from someone's wallet or their valuables, but false entry into a person's home, impersonating someone else, and sleeping in a bed for free is apparently okay.
There are no maps or bus schedules lying around. Not even an address. That computer is ancient. It might as well be an abacus.
It always hurts me to think that these are considered ancient, because I'm fairly certain that's exactly what the computers looked like when I started like secondary school. In fact, my home computer looked very much like this, my first one. So I don't know, maybe it just means I'm getting old. Sad times.
I don't smoke. It doesn't look like anyone's used that fireplace in ages. I take it the patients have to wait a long time around here.
Okay, that was funny. Nice one, Sam. So once we leave this room, we should be able to go into the kitchen and do a little bit of a progression.
Uh-oh.
There you are. I was just going to see if you was awake.
Oh, hi.
You aren't sneaking out on us, are you?
Me? Nuh-uh.
Well, come and get your breakfast. I've got eggs, porridge, toast and ham. Be ashamed to let it go cold.
No shit? I mean, thanks.
It's a very peculiar way of expressing your gratitude, but I guess we're going to go get some free breakfast.
God, I'm starving. I guess if they aren't onto me by now, another half an hour won't hurt.
There we go. So the code, the creed, the code of conduct and ethics, it does not extend to free breakfast. So let's go and get something to eat.
Go ahead, dear. Don't be shy about it.
It smells amazing.
I didn't know how you took your eggs, so I made them the way I like them. But I can do them however you like starting tomorrow.
I'm not picky.
Tom, one way's easy as another. People need a good breakfast, I always say.
Oh my god, these are the best eggs I've ever tasted.
Well now, himself does like 'em fresh. We've got a farmer drops 'em off every few days. Bit peckish, are you? What do they feed you over there at Oxford?
Oxford? The usual.
And I never saw anyone in my life as cold, wet and tired as you last night. Hope you didn't walk all that way. There's a bus stop just down the road, no more than 20 yards. Takes you right to Oxford Centre. Still going on about them eggs, are you?
No, I just can't believe my luck lately.
Well, before you go off, himself left instructions for you on the door to the basement.
Himself?
Oh, I mean Dr. Styles, of course. He's working down in the lab this morning, doesn't want to be disturbed. Now, I know you must have a question or two. Don't be shy about asking, Samantha.
It's Sam, but funny. I don't remember telling you my name last night.
There was a tag on your backpack when I washed your clothes. You really should update it to your Oxford address, dear. Wouldn't do having someone ship it back to the States if you lost it, now would it? Oh, and I'm Mrs. Dalton. I did tell you, but I suspect you were half asleep at the time.
Alright, so now in order to progress, I'm going to go through every single conversational point here just to gain a bit more information, and effectively what it essentially does is give Sam the opportunity to make a path for herself, you know, wheedle some information out of Mrs. Dalton so that she can figure out how to get to her destination, which is actually London. I must say, I really do like Mrs. Dalton's character. She's so lovely. I want a Mrs. Dalton in my life. But anyway, let's just pick the first option here and see what plays out.
Who all lives here?
Lord, it must seem a big old empty place to you. Sometimes I forget. It's only himself and me.
Just two people? In this huge old house?
He can't abide company. Look, he can be difficult. I'll never say otherwise. But no matter what you've heard over there at that university, don't believe it. All I ask is that you make up your own mind. If you can do that, and not be faint of heart, you'll be all right.
Okay.
But whatever you do, don't mention the accident.
Okay.
I saw a plaque by the door. Center for Cognitive Abnormality Research? What does that mean, exactly?
The centre was Dr. Styles' idea. He started it with his friend, Dr. Hellborn. How excited they were. It was busy too, or starting to be. Then something happened and, well, he closed it.
What does that mean? Cognitive abnormality.
Didn't that school tell you anything? Dr. Styles worked with patients who had strokes or brain injuries and the like. Always said those kinds of cases helped him understand the workings of the brain better than looking at a healthy one.
He's retired now?
Well, you could say that. Hasn't seen patients in years.
How far are we from London?
London? Hour and a half, I'd say. Car or train will run you about the same. Of course, you'd never catch me driving in London. Oh, not for £1 million.
That's not bad.
Far enough away to be grateful, not so far as to be sorry. Or so the locals say.
You know, before I came to Oxford, I would have never imagined there was so much uninhabited countryside so nearby.
Oh, there's plenty of country around here. And thank heavens for it.
How long does the bus take to get into Oxford Centre?
30 minutes, like. Makes a lot of stops on the way. By the by, what college are you in? Did the Student Employment Office say it was St Edmund Hall? Or am I thinking of something else?
It is St Edmund Hall.
Nice college from what I've heard.
So, what exactly does Dr. Styles' assistant do around here? I mean, as you see it.
Never had one before. I'm sure they told you at the Student Employment Office. It's mainly paperwork he wants done. Files sorted, computer work, things of that sort. You should have plenty of time to keep up with your studies. I told him there's no use sending over a medical student. He'd never let you touch his actual work. I take it you're not in the sciences.
Was it the tattoos that gave me away?
No offence, dear. What is it that you study?
English Lit.
Well, that's all right then, isn't it? Now, I wanted to ask, will you be wanting the room or will you be staying at the university?
The room?
The room you were in last night. It's yours whenever you want it. It's empty otherwise, isn't it?
Empty.
Meals too. If you're late, I'll leave your dinner in the fridge. sure a girl like you knows how to use a microwave.
Sure. I know they told me this at university, but I'm not sure I remember it correctly. Besides the room and board, the position pays...
Well, I never. Catch a fever last night, did you? I'd have thought that would be the first thing on a student's mind.
Sure, but I was looking at a whole list of available jobs, and I'm afraid I might be confusing them.
£50.
Right, that's what I thought. Thanks. I noticed the painting on the stairway. Beautiful girl. Is that Dr. Stiles' daughter?
If you want to get along in this house, that's the sort of thing you don't ask. Ever.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Okay, so quite a bit of information to take away from that conversation. So as far as Dr. Stiles is concerned, there seems to be a bit of a reputation there, which is why he struggles getting an assistant by the sounds of it. So he's a bit of an oddball, or maybe he's not a nice man, we don't know. There was an accident we're not allowed to talk about. We're not allowed to ask about the lady in the painting, which, I mean, I already know that's his wife, but whether or not there's a link between that and accident, who is this Dr. Hellborn? Was he in the accident? There's a lot that we don't actually know at this point. We kind of just have to make our own assumptions. And then Sam's pretty resourceful and quite clever. She's managed to wangle herself a job, a free room, and a meal every night, all by pretending to be someone she isn't. So, you know, it swings and roundabouts. She's not too far from where she actually wants to be. So really, it's just a case of making enough money to either get the bike fixed or pay for a coach ticket out of this place. But she's going to have to work for it first. So I will push on a little bit more. Once we've finished in the kitchen, we should be able to get some progression, which will allow us to leave the building. But let's get to that point first. So I'm just going to examine everything in the room, because that's just what we want to do.
For just 2 people. I suppose there must have been a lot more living here once upon a time. It looks a bit gloomy out there.
For some reason, we're allowed to examine the oven whilst Mrs. Dalton's clearly trying to wash the dishes in the oven.
You never can tell.
Yeah, she's washing. Is she washing or cooking? I can't tell.
She seems nice enough.
Oh.
You never can tell.
I assure you, Mrs. Dalton is a saint. Now, I just want to examine this oven.
She seems nice
But
enough.
we just keep examining Mrs. Dalton.
Someone modernized an old fireplace. Cool idea.
Now, we'll hit this first because I don't think it's actually 2002.
That calendar is out of date.
Aha, my suspicions were correct. What else is on this notice board? So we have Dr. Helbin's contact card.
It's a card for a psychologist. Now that's a phone number I'd have handy. You never know when you'll go stark raving mad.
She has a way with words, our Sam.
Oxford Police Department. Gee, that's reassuring.
I find it very peculiar that the police department is an 0870 number. I don't even think... Do we even have it? That's not a UK number, surely. But hey, maybe we could put that in our inventory. Who knows? Right, so there's nothing else here on the board of note. So let's come out of there. And we shall make our way back to the foyer. Now, this letter that was on the door, we examined it earlier. We can actually read it now.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Right, so we can zoom in. So let me...
Well, he's a charmer. Don't get too comfortable, Houdini.
Right, I'm actually going to read that letter. So, to the new person. There is one thing for you to do today. Call it a test, if you will. If you cannot accomplish it, pack your things and return to the campus by evening. So, Okay. I planned to start an experiment, but despite putting up a few of these notices in town, no lost lambs have telephoned. Find me 6 student volunteers for tonight. Leave your cell phone number with Mrs. Dalton. Dr. Stiles. So, I must admit, that's got to be the bluntest set of instructions ever, but at least it's to the point. So Dr. Stiles wants us to find 6 volunteers, or by the sounds of it, he wants us to kidnap 6 people to use in an experiment later this evening. And if we can't do that, he's basically going to sack us. And then behind the letter are the little notices that he was putting up. So we have the non-existent UK phone number, a very, very generous rate of pay. I mean, heck, that's not even the rate of pay now. So that's quite generous. In fact, that's probably more than what Sam's getting paid for being the assistant when you work it out.
This shouldn't be too hard. Students always need money, right?
There we go. So if we exit out of that, that should automatically go into our inventory. There we go. So it's gone from the door. And there it is in our inventory. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take a break. I'm going to leave the episode at this point because we can actually venture off into town and get ourselves some student volunteers. So I'll leave it there, as I said. Hopefully this introductory episode has been entertaining enough for you to want to come back and see part 2. I really hope that is the case. And I appreciate this is off to a slow start, but I do assure you the game gets a lot more interesting as the plot develops. We're about halfway through chapter 1, so hopefully the next episode we will see us get to the end of this chapter. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again shortly.